Are we ready to go?
Anytime.
Okay, well then we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. It looks like we have everyone here. Luckily, the governor's on, so our live YouTube stream's probably not got a lot of participants watching, but we'll start, I suppose, with our normal Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence. So I guess everyone on my flag. Attention, salute, pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the
United States of America. To the republic for which it stands, one nation, justice
under
for all.
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Well, certainly our thoughts and prayers go out to all the folks across the country battling this virus and have succumbed to the virus. So it's got us in this unique situation of doing this teleconference meeting. So glad everybody's up to speed and everybody's happy and healthy and making it through this. So I guess we'll start. We need I need a motion on item 3.
I make a motion we consider approval of resolution regarding meeting protocols for COVID-19.
I'll second.
I don't suppose we need to read the resolution?
I've read through it. It's a lot of boilerplate language
Yeah.
for
So
situations like this.
So are we okay just to take a vote on it?
I'm good.
I am.
Okay. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I get a lot of feedback. Is
Motion
supposed to do
passes.
that.
So the next, it just seems like when I hear you guys, that's a little bit of a delay, but we'll move on to item 4A, Superintendents Report. Ms. Schlosser.
Thank you. I will start out with just a little protocol that we used at our GREC meeting that might actually help. When we did this, everyone was muted other than the person talking, so that may help with some of the echoing. And also for the motions, if you would state your name and that would be your first, and then the next person, whoever did the second, would state their name. All in favor, of course, with an aye, and any opposed, then you would tell your name. It's easy to unmute yourself. That's easy to do. So just let us know if you need help on our end. This is the first time that we've actually experienced a Zoom live meeting. And obviously, like the resolution said, this is something that our country's never experienced. So we're just trying to make sure folks are safe. So if you come up with questions, myself, Teresa Preston and Tim Lyons are here. We'll do our best. So I'm going to start out with our superintendent's report, and a little bit different today in that we are operating without class in session, and we are currently operating in a non-traditional instructional setting. Typically, we've used these days for snow, weather, things like that, never any emergency like we're currently dealing with. We did receive permission from the commissioner to do extended NTI days. Today, superintendents had a conference call with the governor, and he is asking superintendents to remain in this state of NTI until at least through May the 1st. He said he would notify us about the expectation of going back to school after May the 1st toward the end of April. So that's currently where we are. He plans to announce that tonight during his time. Again, like our chairman said, we are competing with him. And so that'll be something that is announced about school. And so there are some special events that come along with the last days of school. And so we are basically taking advice from our governor. And we have asked that, you know, in the event that things change, going back to school or not going back, that we are notified as soon as possible. In the event that we have the ability to go back, I have no doubt that we can't get back in school as quick as we dismiss school. But again, it could be the last week of April before superintendents in the community are notified about what the status is before the end of school. I did a short video and I talked a little bit about those things just to say that, you know, we would find a way to celebrate in a non-traditional way. And when I say that, non-traditional typically is just going to be anything other than at the Roby Dome at 10 o'clock in the morning after the last day of school. So we'll work through that. We'll be thinking of that. You know, our plan is to find a way to celebrate, really optimistic and hoping that we'll be able to return to school. So again, you know, I'm watching the governor every evening at 5 o'clock. If we have a conference call, then I'm on there. But what I do want to say is during this time, we've done some things that we've never done before. And I would want to talk about our food service. And when I say that our folks have gone above and beyond, there's no way I could ever say that enough. Yesterday, our food service staff, transportation, volunteers, and other folks put together 32,760 meals. That was absolutely amazing. Took several days to prepare that, but when a family drove up, they had the opportunity to receive 7 breakfasts and 7 lunches. Great job, wonderful effort. There are some new USDA guidelines that came out in regards to if you're picking up and your kids aren't with you, we actually had to chart those. We are working on making sure that we get enough supplies for the meals. Our staff, they're doing a fantastic job. Our transportation folks are helping. But I do want to give a little bit of an update on our meal programs. We have 16 different sites, and we are going to convert all the sites that is physically possible to a drive-through site to ensure that we are practicing social distancing. And for instance, the library site will be moved to the high school, and this will give folks an opportunity to stay in their car, practice social distancing. You'll drive up, you'll give your name, tell us how many meals you need, and those meals will be done at a drive-through situation. For those sites that cannot be drive-through based on their location, we will have signs that will be printed that will be every 6 feet apart with the expectation that folks follow social distancing. In the event that we cannot practice social distancing, we will be closing those sites, and those folks will have to find a way to get to a drive-through. But we have to remember why we are actually in this situation, and that is about the health and the well-being of folks. That's the reason that the social distancing is required. Our meal plan, you know, we went from serving around 500 meals to 32,000 meals. Like, it just has continued to grow and grow and grow. And again, lots of hard work, a lot of effort is there. I know a lot of people have been excited. Some folks have been afraid that we were going to run out of food. We have plenty. We're going to make sure you get food. There's lots of folks you can call in the event that you need food. So I just want to make that clear that we are working on that. Every parent will be receiving a letter in the mail as a follow-up. I do encourage folks to continue to go to our website. It has lots of information and it's accurate information. And you can always call your schools and talk to your principals as well. But just a big shout out to those ladies and gentlemen who made our meals such a success. Our custodial staff around the district has worked really hard to make sure that our buildings are cleaned and sanitized. We have been notified that K-PREP testing has been canceled. We received a waiver from the federal government. We are providing encouragement breaks to our staff. Somebody sends out something just to encourage folks because this is a completely different way of teaching. Our instruction, I'm so thankful that we had the opportunity to have our Chromebooks and be that one-to-one district. We recognize that not all of our children have Chromebooks, or excuse me, not all of our children have internet. And so for those kiddos, we've got a lot of paper packets around. We actually had NTI drop-off places at each of our sites to turn those in. And I just have to say, and I don't want to leave anybody out, so I can't start naming names, but our teachers have gone above and beyond anything that anyone could say. I read something today and it said that people were concerned that the only thing that teachers did was talk to the test. And, you know, there's no K-PREP test and our teachers are going above and beyond. And not just in the morning, but they're having evening classes. They're doing exercise. We've got arts going on. We're reading stories to kids. You know, the opportunities that are taking place, we are making the best of this situation. And then I have to talk about our support staff. You know, when you walk in a building, there's many times that you can't even tell the difference between who's the teacher and who's the instructional support staff. Our instructional support staff, they are just knocking it out of the park. They're making phone calls, they're reading books, they're doing professional learning opportunities. And you know, the one thing that I think that our staff's doing a great job in is we're checking on our children. So not only are teachers checking on the learning that's taking place, we're also checking to see, does a family need something? Is there an issue that we can help you with? You know, we want to be that service that a family goes to in the event that there's a need. And they are just really doing a great job of that, supporting the teachers, helping with the packets, so many of those kinds of things. And then, like, when you talk about your special programs and support services like occupational therapy and physical therapy and speech therapy, we're doing all those things telehealth, and our kids are still getting those services. And, you know, Ms. Sharp and her staff really, they plan for this, doing a lot of documentation. We're doing virtual ARC meetings, all those kinds of things that we need to do to make sure that school doesn't change. I mean, we know it's different, but, you know, we don't want to just say, here's a packet or here's a piece of paper or here's an assignment. We want to provide wraparound services. And I definitely think that our Friskies program helps with so much of that. They actually deliver the backpack program that we do on Fridays. So for those kids that need some additional food in the house, we're going to make sure that they get those. And then probably something folks don't realize is we have a pretty big migrant program here in Marion County. Now, we don't have anything compared to Warren County, but for Marion County, a pretty good sized migrant program. And, you know, when I check in on them, you know, they're out doing the same thing. They're making sure that those kids have what they need to complete their lessons. We're translating, providing food, again, providing services. So some of those families that need just a little bit of extra help, that's exactly what we're doing. Our nurses are currently providing telehealth. And so we're working closely with our Healthy Kids Clinic. And then mental health. I know that a lot of folks are watching the governor at 5 o'clock each evening. And one of the things he's talking about is our children's mental health and that social and emotional learning. And I'm so proud to say that we have a social emotional wellness educator. And that's something that our district has been focused on before this. And it's great because then we now have those folks who can support our kids. And we're doing that through telehealth or phone calls or different things like that. And we even have a social emotional Facebook page where parents can go on there and talk to their kids. I mean, this is not like school's ever been for any of our children. They are very accustomed to being with their friends, being with their teacher, having those social interactions. And so I think it's important for us as parents and family members to support our children and to support the adults around us. A lot of change going on. Point of contact. We are operating based on what the governor's saying. If folks can work from home, they are working from home, but we want you to know you can still call the main number at school. You can leave a voicemail. That voicemail will then be routed to a point of contact. So please leave a message. Don't forget to utilize our email as well. Someone will get back to you. We're working really hard on trying to get a lot of communication out. Again, I want to emphasize that our website has the most accurate, up-to-date information. Our one page, one stop has a lot of just quick details for you. We are using social media as well, working with our local media, putting out some videos. And some of our videos are informative. And then today I watched a video from Marion County Middle School, and it was a video that the teachers had sent out to the students. So we're trying to use every means possible to communicate messages and to remind everyone that we miss our kids, we miss one another, and we hope to see them very soon. But we know that it's very important to follow these guidelines because of the health and well-being of not just our homes, but our community and our country as a whole. I think it's important to also talk about, that's one of the reasons the playgrounds, our governor has asked that, to be healthy at home, to be outside, but there's certain things that's just not appropriate in this case. So our playgrounds are closed. You're welcome to use the walking track, but the expectation is that 6 foot social distancing, no congregations, no gatherings. I think it's important for folks to know that even though we are working from home, we are working to continue to apply for grants. We're already thinking about next year. So just because we have a different way of doing instruction, there's still a lot of things that we're planning for the next school year, and hopefully we can bring in some of those funds. Lots of people are participating in Zoom meetings just like today, and we're doing that at the local level, the state level, and even the national level. Like, folks are really putting their heads together. Ms. Wheeler, our director of nutrition, she said that when those new USDA guidelines came out, she wasn't just having conversations with folks around the region. She was actually having that same conversation with directors from across the United States, because a USDA requirement is for all feeding sites across the country. So, we are all learning as we go. And hopefully, we're going to get a little bit better every single day with these things, and appreciate folks' patience. The message changes often. Just like today, it was a conference call with the governor. His comment was, we would like school to be called off until May the 1st. And we will let you know, because he's definitely looking at what those peak numbers look like in regards to the illnesses that we see in Kentucky. He wants folks to be healthy, and that's going to be what his decision's based on. And talking about registration for next year is it's open. And so if your child's already enrolled, it shouldn't be a problem. If you need a GUID number for those new kiddos, again, make a phone call to your school. This is going to be a little bit different. Kindergarten registration, typically we've already had that, and we've had kids in and we've been getting them screened, but this is going to look different. And until it's safe, we're going to wait on that, but we're going to make sure that your kids are in school as soon as possible. Our finance department continues to knock it out. There's 3 things the commissioners ask us to do as school boards and superintendents, and he wants us to continue to teach kids, feed kids, and pay our employees. And so I just want to commend our finance department for continuing that process. I know that our bookkeepers and principals are helping make sure those timesheets are getting put in. I know I've had some messages from substitute teachers. Please reach out to your school secretaries. They'll help you with that. And next week is a scheduled spring break. And we are going to take a break from NTI, from teaching, but I just want folks to know we're not going to take a break from feeding. And so we're going to continue to feed our kids next week, even though it's spring break. Again, just remember those guidelines that we talked about. And something new that just came out, and that is our Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Very thankful that we're a part of that and been doing that for several years. Not going to talk about the numbers of kids that participate in that, but what I'm going to talk about is that there's a new series out, Goodnight Dolly. And so she's reading some bedtime stories to kiddos. If that's something you'd like to take advantage of, please do that. Again, I know that we've got several teachers and staff members that are doing the same thing. And so it's a great opportunity to use technology in a way like we've never used before. Again, I think a lot of us miss seeing each other, but it is very refreshing to know that we can reach out with FaceTime and Zoom meetings and different things like that. Our public meetings, like this meeting, this is the first time we've done this, but we've got it set up. We have our YouTube channel. We're streaming this as we go. And in the event folks cannot watch the meeting at this time, there will be an opportunity to go back and it will be stored here on this channel. We will be working, if this continues, on ways to address public comment. So I don't want folks to think that that's not going to be something that we won't do or something that we're not planning for. And, you know, I don't think there's any way in the world that I can say thank you enough to all the folks that just jumped up quickly and changed the way we did school business. There's not been one person that's not been affected by this. And parents have had to change the way school looks. Our staff has changed the way it looks. It's even changed the way some things go on in our communities. And so trying to talk to those folks, trying to make sure that, you know, we want to be a good partner. I know there's still a lot of questions and concerns out there. Some of those we can answer. Some of them we may have to get some research on and get back to you. But, you know, Marion County Public Schools is committed to teaching our kids. We're very committed to the services that we have to offer. We have a fantastic staff. When we talk about dream, believe, achieve, it's not about a test score, and we've been saying that for years. When we talk about portrait of a graduate and critical thinking and communication and so on, our kids are really doing some fantastic kinds of things, you know, virtual talent shows and talking on Zoom meetings and creating lessons and projects. There's no way I could ever go through all of the cool things that I've seen over the last couple of weeks because I would leave somebody out. But I just want to say thank you. And if there's anything that we can do to help make this not just a pleasant experience, but an enjoyable experience, that's exactly what we want to do. And so for the board, I would just ask if there are any questions or concerns, or if there are items that you would like for me to address, either through an email, a video, an article in the newspaper. I'm here to serve. So with that, I will, I guess, mute myself.
All right, well, thank you, Ms. Slosser. Have we got Ruth Ann with us? Should we do? All right, so we'll go to the finance report, Ms. Kokenauer.
All right. I'm going to not do a real long version, but I will be glad to answer any questions if you have them. For the summary report, which I'm seeing, receipts this month, year-to-date February versus year-to-date February last year. Teresa, if you'll scroll down a little bit, you can see they're just right at even, 0% variance. So I'm not going to go in detail, but I have the detail if you have any specific questions on those. And then if you scroll all the way down for expenditures, it's unfavorable 4% overall compared to last year, which is about where I expected. don't have an updated projection on where we'll end this year because I have not I've not completed March closing yet. It's a little bit of a challenge with the distance, but should be done shortly. The cash balances this year versus last year, this year, 9.9 million versus last year, the balance was 10.1 million. And then I'll just cover food service. Last year, food service was 177,637. This year, it's 312,985. So I feel like we right now have a healthy food service balance. And then just to update you on things that will be coming between now and the May board meeting, I will send you a tentative budget, and it will now be based on the legislative budget of no salary increases and flat revenues to be conservative. I can send that next week, and I'm assuming our email will be the best way to get that to you. We can have a work session if you'd like through Zoom, I guess would be between now and the May board meeting. Because at that board meeting, you will be approving the tentative budget. You'll still, if you're concerned about, there could be changes, you still have another budget approval in September for the final budget for 2020-21. So you still have time. I'm assuming we would want to go conservative right now, and then you can always add to it as it gets into the year. The salary schedule on this agenda that you'll see a little bit later reflects it's the same salary schedule as this year. There are no changes based on the budget that I just described. You would still have the option, if things look better, to add an increase. What this increase would be for this budget would be step increase, which is about a 1% increase. So for the salary schedule right now, it would just be that it would be the same numbers. Everybody would just jump up a step. For updates, I guess for finance, it would be, we really would need any updates by June to be able to implement them next year. So like for the May board meeting, that will be when you approve the 2021 tentative budget. And then other things that will be on the May meeting will be insurance renewals for next year. All of these things will be next year. Audit contract, school fees, and then continuation of depository. So if you have any specific questions, I'll be glad to answer those.
Ruth Ann, you say that the salary schedule that's on the agenda only includes a step increase.
Teresa, can you verify that is the one that's posted? I emailed that to you this afternoon. It is, okay, yes.
And if we have a work session this month and we decide to keep it like that, of course, we've already approved it, but we still would have time to make a change.
Yes.
Okay. That's my only question.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Ruth Ann. Now we'll move on to item 5. I need a motion for 5A.
This Peggy. I make a motion to consider approval of 2021 pay dates and holidays.
This Caitlin, I'll second.
Any questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Need a motion for 5B.
This is Kalen. I move we approve for a shortened school day for student 008-020.
This is Jim. I second.
Any questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Need a motion for 6A.
This is Peg. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we consider acceptance of the Chromebook bids.
And this is Peggy. I'll second.
Any questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Ayes have it. Need a motion for 6B.
This is Carrie. I'll make a motion that we consider approval to award the Chromebook bid to Firefly.
This is Jim. I second.
Any questions or discussion on that? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
We lost Brad.
That's what I was wondering.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
This is Peggy. We're having a hard time hearing Brad.
Hey, Brad, we're getting a lot of lag time from you.
In and asked for a motion for 5C, please, until we can get Brad connected.
You got me?
This is
I'm at 6C.
You guys have me?
There you are.
now. Great.
This is Carrie. I'll make a motion we consider approval of pay application number 2 for Marion County Middle School edition for $25,400.
This is Peggy. I'll second it.
Okay, you got me?
I think we got you.
Connection must have got weak. You guys have me? Am I here? Okay, okay. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, that took y'all long enough. All right, all opposed? Ayes have it. Need a motion for
Oh,
6D.
This is Jim. I motion to consider approval of the 2021 salary schedule.
This is Kalen. I second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Need a motion for 6E.
This is Carrie. I'll make a motion we consider approval to allow a greater than 5% carryover of the 1920 SBDM Section 4 funding.
This Jim, I second.
This, Kalen, I'd like to say something real quick on that. Last year, I said that I wasn't going to vote for this again because I thought it was silly that the SBDMs weren't spending the money that they were allocated. However, under these circumstances, obviously it's different. So I'm not necessarily breaking what I said last year, but different times call for different measures. So I'm not going to oppose it this year, but I do think the site-based councils ought to be spending the money that's allocated to them because that's money that's allocated for that year for those students. I really think they ought to be budgeting so that that money is spent in that year.
If I can jump in here, I'm the one that put this on the agenda. They didn't really, because of circumstances, they do understand that. I'm the one that's really asking for this for them.
Sure, and like I said last year I wasn't going to support this again, but under the circumstances, we have to. I mean, there's no way they could have planned that they were going to be out of school for 2 months. So that's understandable. I just want to make sure that I'm clear that I haven't changed my position on that. And if I'm still on the board next year, I'm not going to be supporting it next year unless we have another worldwide pandemic.
And I
Right,
hope
and
we
this
don't.
really applies to all schools, right?
Or some
So
other
this
reason.
is For one specific school, so this is applied across the board, correct?
Correct. And there will be a number of schools that don't need this.
Any other questions or comments?
Mm.
Okay. Okay. All in favor? Aye.
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 You guys got me?
Got you now.
You guys got me? We're almost through it. All opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, need a motion for 7A through G.
This is Kalen. I move that we approve consent items 7A through G.
This is Carrie.
Peggy.
I'll second.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. You guys got me?
Just
A little
barely.
bit.
All opposed? I really hope you guys can hear me acknowledge item 8. Yeah, it's backwards. You have to flip it over. We can't read it like
That's
that.
how I came.
So I need a motion to adjourn. Would anybody be willing to entertain a moment to adjourn, a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
This is Jim, second.
All in favor? Aye. Everybody have a good night.
All right, guys. Stay safe.
Stay healthy.